Welcome back to the Creative Saints podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Victoria. Here we go, another episode.
Woohoo!
So let's do a little update. We just got back from a little mini family vacay. It wasn't a mini family vacay.
No,
It was actually a whole week. And that's amazing.
that is amazing.
We talked last week in our podcast about intentional rest. And so then we actually put that to action and got away and
Had
pushed
some
pause.
downtime.
Yeah, pushed pause on everything. And how do you feel coming back?
I feel refreshed. I feel a lot of clarity came from taking time away,
Mm-hmm.
but I also feel a little tired at the same time. Coming back and having to, after completely stopping everything, putting the brakes on everything, coming back and trying to get momentum
Yeah.
and get everything done. We have more on our plate now
Yeah.
than
we
we
did
had
when we
before we left.
I
So
think it's also important to say that we drove this trip.
yeah,
And so going from the top of the country to the bottom of the country was not an easy feat.
but it saves money.
Trying to keep kids occupied in the car for that
18
long
hours.
was wild. Yeah, no, I feel good. I feel like it's cool that we're kind of just tracking our episodes with what's happening in our own life
Yeah.
and keeping people up to date on like where we're at and what we're doing. And
hmm
um
There's no fluff. There's no.
yeah, we have nothing to fluff. It
No.
just it is what it is. We are who we are.
I think we started that from the beginning.
Yeah, but I think it'll be cool as we continue to just see, where life takes us, where the podcast goes, and how it all coincides
Yeah.
together. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like it's taken me a couple days to get out of vacation mode. Yesterday was a pretty busy work day. So it kind of got some of my creative brain flowing.
hmm
But I think because we both are feeling that tension of like, ugh, like getting back
Yeah.
into it, it makes sense to talk about that.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about what it looks like, feels like, practically means to just step on the gas after you've
hmm
pumped the brakes. And whether that's because you took a vacation or maybe it's kind of opposite end of the spectrum. Maybe you're experiencing burnout creatively.
Yeah. And you just took a couple days, a weekend
Yeah.
away from work to find that restful place, get a little bit of clarity, find your creative juices flowing again.
Yeah. And so there's so many aspects of like why someone might feel a little lack in their creativity,
hmm
for any number of reasons. But I think there are ways that it's possible to just get it going again. It's maybe that like idea of writer's block or whatever that looks like,
hmm
and how to jump back in.
Yeah.
And we have, like we said, we have some new clients now, and so we're kind of having to just go, and
Right.
it's not like we came back and we're just working on the same projects. It's okay, now it's having to shift into some different areas.
Yeah.
And so there, once you're back, there is no stopping. You have to keep going. The work has to get done, and we're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
We kind of took a couple days after we got back to just breathe, get groceries, whatever do laundry,
I think
whatever
we
it
took
was.
like a day.
So how are you? You're kind of the spearhead of all of this. How do you feel like you're doing jumping back in creatively?
I think it's really important when you jump back into not. I love waking up in the morning and jumping on my laptop and opening Illustrator, blank white screens, and going. I think after you take some time away, um, for me, I am on my phone a lot less. I'm keeping up a lot less with what is trending and what is just going through the social feed. Um,
And a lot can change in a week.
a lot
So if
changes
you're
in a
not
week.
on it, yeah.
So I had to get on Pinterest and Instagram and just kind of go through and see creative things that can spark. And when it's gloomy, it's a
Yeah,
little bit harder. It's not like you can go outside and just get
sure.
inspired on a sunny day. Rainy days do have inspiration for certain things, but I think when you're coming back from a time of rest or a day of rest or whatever it is, a gloomy day doesn't really inspire you a whole lot. So just jumping back and being inspired first and then getting back into, okay, these are the things I have to do. These are the tasks that I have to complete, and putting them in order of which one takes the most work, which one is the one where I have to be the most inspired, and putting those in an order that flows with how I'm feeling.
Yeah. And I think it's important to say, like, you can't force creativity. It has to kind of happen. And there are things that you can do to spark it, like you're saying, but to sit there and then try and force something to
Yeah,
happen would only be a terrible project in the end that you would
absolutely.
want to scrap. And so,
You stay up late and work on something till 2
yeah,
a.m. and wake up the next morning and wonder what you were thinking.
yeah. So instead of just saying like, "Oh, I have to get this done, and so I'm just gonna find a way to do it," I think it's important to really reconnect with what that fuel is for your creativity,
Yeah,
to take that time and say, "Okay, how am I feeling?" You know, vacation for us really revealed some things,
yeah,
and we kind of not kind of we definitely came back with some fresh perspective for what moving forward in business and life.
very clearly.
Yeah, and it wasn't even that we were, like, away and, really meditating on what we were supposed to do or, praying the whole time or anything like that, but it was just like, "Okay, I took a breath, I took a beat,
Mhm.
I have some clarity."
Yeah.
And that felt amazing
Right.
because even though we might have come back tired, we definitely came back with this idea of, "I know where we go from here."
Yeah, a good realignment of
Mhm.
priorities and things that are working and not working,
Yeah.
and what can push forward and what can't push forward.
Yeah, and we kind of have had this conversation of working on things that are exciting.
Yeah.
If you're not excited about a thing that you're doing, yeah, there might be money involved and you have to kind of weigh the risk and reward of all of that. But being able to, again, because we work for ourselves, choose
Mhm.
our projects and
Yeah.
decide, hey, this is bringing me joy. This isn't
Mhm.
bringing me joy. This is bringing me peace. This isn't
Yeah.
like, I find this exciting. I
Right.
don't find this exciting. And I think that we got a lot of clarity
Yeah.
about those types of things while we were away. Again, not even really knowingly. We just came back and we
Right.
were like, "Hey, I feel pretty certain about this."
Right. And in that slow time, I even personally had a few ideas of projects that I want to seek people out to work with.
Hmm.
We want to collaborate and partner with some other people and build things. That doesn't come when you're in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. You don't stop and take a breath. You don't really get that fresh perspective. But coming back and finding the passion,
Hmm.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
Is
And the things that you're naturally drawn to,
yeah,
you know? Yeah.
but you don't really see it when there is a percentage of work that you have to do to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And you have to work out that percentage of what work is passion work and things that are exciting,
Hmm.
and what percentage of the work that I take on is I just need to do this because I do need that extra income. I do
Yeah.
need that there to grow, personally, financially, business wise, whatever it
Yeah.
is.
No, I think that's really practical to kind of decide what that is. And we've talked a lot about rest and work balance, the importance of it. And there's this scripture in Exodus 33:14. It says, "My presence will go with you and I will give you rest." And it's such a like this idea of letting go of control, kind of.
Yeah.
Um, rest doesn't just mean vacation. Rest means peace. Rest means clarity. And what if that comes not just from pushing harder, but from actually leaning into inspiration and being present in what you're doing? And I
Right.
think that that's what this rest was for us,
Hmm.
was an actual like, I'm so present in myself, in my family, in my, gifting. Like, it wasn't that we were working hard to produce a thing or a feeling or to accomplish anything. It was just this like rest.
Yeah.
Like being present in who we are, what we're called to do. And again, when we came back, it was just like we had some light bulb moments about a
Hmm.
few things. And I just think that that can be so vital. Like, my presence will go with you and I will give you rest. cool, like
Right.
done deal, you know?
Done deal. But I also think that rest is a learned skill
Yeah.
because as humans and as creatives and as freelancers and entrepreneurs and business owners, we keep our eyes forward. We think 6 months down the road. We
Sure.
see the end of the project. We focus on the production. We focus on the implementation and all of those things. Rest is not a natural human state of mind.
Mhm.
It is something that you can say, I'm gonna rest, but I think it's probably taken us a few years of learning how to step away
Mhm.
and do it in the right way.
Yeah.
And I think that this time around, I do feel like because we have learned how to rest better, we're still
Mhm.
not perfect at it. We're still not great at it.
Maybe
Um,
it's not a true Sabbath.
it's not, I think because we've learned and we have done it over and over and tried to get better at intentionally resting, that's where the clarity comes. You
Mhm.
hear things and you see things and you think about things differently
Mhm.
when you can truly rest in a proper form way.
Mhm.
And it's hard in our society. It goes so fast that even when you take a rest, even when you go on vacation, even when you do an exciting trip or you just take a staycation, whatever it is, uh, the world goes so
Mhm.
fast on our mobile devices or watching Netflix or whatever it is, um, that true rest is very, very, very hard to do. And I think it takes intentionality and the ideation that it is a learned skill per se.
Yeah. And I again, like let's talk about you've done the rest, you've taken the break. It's jumping back in, life goes on and so we have things that we need to accomplish and I think there's like this idea of I'm taking a break and just keep doing what I do afterwards, but it can be so hard
Right.
um to again find that creative flow and figure out where do I go from here? If you have gotten clarity, if you have gotten inspiration, if you have been present and you understand what you want to do, how do you actually practically do that when you come back? And I think we've been lucky that we do have a couple new things to work on. And those have been exciting.
Right.
Um, just being really intentional with where we feel like things are going now. And
Right.
that's not to say that every time you take a break or you take a vacation that you're going to come back with a whole new strategy and path for life,
But
but
I do think it gives you clarity on redefining the priorities and what
mhm,
comes first and what comes last. And as you make those, you might redefine your habits and how you take on clients, how you work, what is your workflow, what are things that you are absolutely unwilling to do, projects that you were working on before,
mhm,
and you take a rest, you step away and you decide, wow, that's no amount of money is worth working on that
yeah,
specific thing. Or what would I do for free?
mhm,
Like those are the things that should take priority and those are the clients or jobs that you should chase down
yeah,
because that's what's going to bring you joy. That's your passion. That's your God-given talent and what you've honed your skills in is to do those things and that's what should take a majority of your time.
yeah. Yeah, I think that figuring out what you want to do is
Right.
so important. And like you kind of touched on like your workflow. I mean, coming back from an extended break or whatever, you might come back and say, "Hey, I'm going to change things up a little bit. Um, my habits, my structures, my workflow, and what that looks like to find inspiration and time to work on the projects and just kind of be able to like play and
Hmm.
figure it out and be creative in that
Yeah.
way of like we think sometimes that being creative is just like creating cool things but it's also in how you're creating
Right.
can be creative. You don't your structure and workflow doesn't have to look like everyone else's
Right.
and finding what works for you is what is going to give you your voice in what you're
Hmm.
building
Yeah.
in what you're making. We have very different creative
Yeah.
workflows. Like I'm very like I like to go and I like to find inspiration and you kind of mentioned talking about like going and seeing what's going on in social media or whatever. That's
Right.
just kind of like a touching base with reality I think when you come back from a break. But generally I feel like when you're looking for inspiration, you do start with that like
Yeah.
white screen.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna start throwing things on
Mhm.
and see where I'm at, where's
I'm
my
gonna
brain
get it
going.
out of my head.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it there, and then I'm going to go look for inspiration. And I feel like that's where I can create from a genuine place. That is, I had this idea,
Hmm.
and I'm seeing it on the screen now.
Hmm.
And now that I've seen this, now I can take inspiration, and I'm not creating from a mimicking
Right.
place. But I will say that coming back, I feel like I've realized that maybe jumping into it like that is not the best way, the most peaceful way,
Oh, interesting.
and maybe taking some inspiration in different ways or
Hmm.
slowing down jumping into a new project to where I think about it, is maybe sketch more
Hmm.
and ideate on paper or think about things, write things down, maybe is a better workflow for me. And
Hmm.
time will only tell if
Yeah.
that is actually. I have a feeling
Do you
that,
feel like that could be project based though also?
yeah, I do think there are sometimes when I'm on the phone with a prospective client and I have ideas that are going in my head as they're talking
Hmm.
and I'm making notes and I know what I want to create to present as concepts, but I'm always wanting to improve
Hmm.
and hone in on what to do. And I'm wondering if maybe sometimes I jump in too fast.
Mm.
And then I'll take a few new clients to
Yeah.
see, does this work better for me, or does my tried and true method, is that actually the best way for me to do things right now?
Yeah.
Um,
I just have this inkling that it's going to be different though with every
yeah,
client. I mean, if you're kind of thinking you're going to start exploring a new method of like starting projects,
yeah,
I just have a feeling that it's going to be different based on who it is. If it's
yeah,
a like larger business corporation versus like a smaller
right,
singer-songwriter,
yeah,
I think based on who it is. And a lot of clients come to the table with ideas
right,
and a lot don't.
yeah.
Um,
It's probably 50-50.
Honestly, I think that which one do you think is easier?
I really like when people come with something that's in their head
Yeah.
and they say, hey, I have this idea.
Mhm.
This is what's in my head. You're the professional. Make this happen.
Mhm.
And that's a slogan on our website
Yeah.
is we make dreams a reality. So getting what's in your head and to have that as a communicated voice,
Mhm.
a brand identity, a feeling that evokes emotion in people. I love when people come with an idea.
Yeah.
But then there's the other side where people come and they're like, I have no idea what I want,
Yeah.
but this is what I need. And they're open to my artistic
The interpretation.
interpretation.
Yeah.
But then when I bring concepts to them, then they have opinions, they have feelings, and
That can also be frustrating though
it
when
can be very frustrating.
they're like, "I didn't give you any inspiration, but everything you just gave me, I don't like any of it."
So
And you're like, "Wait, so you did have an
so
idea?"
those things are frustrating when people say, I like this, but what if we tried this?
Yeah.
I really enjoy that because I
Mhm.
like the partnership. I like the
Mhm.
collaboration. Even when someone's not a designer, they're a artist or they're a musician artist or they're a corporate person or whatever it is.
Mhm.
They're a church and they have something,
Mhm.
but they don't give it to you.
Yeah.
And you can ask all the questions and they're still not going to give it to you because so many people are such visual. I'll know what is that saying? Uh,
I'll know what it is when
I'll
I
know
see
what it
it.
is when I see it.
Yeah.
And that's, I would say that's one of the most frustrating things to work with.
Mhm.
Uh, my whole job is to take critique for a living.
Right.
So it's frustrating, but it's also exciting because I can explore new things and I can put something in that maybe gives direction to their vision
Mhm.
and then they can guide it from there. And a lot of times those work out, we're joking, but a lot of times those work out really fun.
Mhm.
And what comes up is just so much cooler than what I could have done on my own brain.
Yeah.
But then there are those people who, no, I don't like that. I don't have any idea, but I don't like that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't make something happen if I don't
You
know
have no
what
opinions.
ties to your product, your brand, your
Yeah.
voice, your whatever it is. So
There was recently a person that you sent an initial thing and they were like, "Nope, absolutely hate that. Let's
yeah,
go completely opposite." And then at the end of it, they were like, "Actually, I'm gonna go with
can
the
we just do the
original."
first one?
I mean, that's gotta make you feel good.
How many of you have had that happen?
I guess it's kind of feels like a waste of time, but at the same time, you have to go through the process to be able to
But
see what you like.
I think in that instance, you don't know what you don't like
Yeah.
until you see it. And you do clearly have something in your head that you want to see because you've been
Yeah.
inspired by something.
Yeah.
But what you want and what you have, maybe it's inspired by something,
Yeah.
but it doesn't fit with, you're trying to copy something or mimic something that it it doesn't mesh well with your product or
Yeah.
your offering.
Yeah. No, I love it. I'm glad that we could dig into a little bit of the creative process here. That might be the spark we needed for the day to be creative. A lot of times we're recording these in the evening after like life is kind of we've done a lot
A
during the
long day.
day. Yeah, today we're not. Today it's a morning recording. And so
I kind of dig this.
I'm glad that we got to kind of dig into our day a little bit
Yeah,
and talk about some creative things. Let us know, guys. What are the ways that you get back in? What are some
catch up.
creative flows? How do you catch up to work? How do you, you know, maybe your break wasn't a vacation. Maybe it's just, hey, I needed to take a reprieve from my brain for a while or from clients for a while. Or maybe you're in between. Maybe you're transitioning into a creative role and you really need to like spark some creativity, spark some, inspiration. What does that look like? We'd love to hear from you guys. Comment on Spotify or on Instagram. Let us know what what is the thing that gets you going. What is the thing that wakes you up and like makes you feel creative, makes you feel you're in the zone, you're getting stuff done. Um, how do you spark those things? And yeah, I think it's probably different for everybody,
Yeah. What
other than a
is
good cup of coffee.
that helps everybody. What Let us know what fuels you
Yeah.
and what clarity have you found after taking a rest? What benefits of rest have you found? Have you found any downfalls of that? I don't think
Yeah.
that there are any downfalls, but
Of resting.
of resting.
Might be this. I might be
Yeah,
having a hard time coming back.
I think everybody struggles with that,
Yeah.
and as freelancers, entrepreneurs, people who run their own business, you're not going to a 9 to 5, so you don't have that forced.
Mhm.
I have to get up, I have to get ready, I have to drive to work, and I'm in an office and there's people around. It's, I think, a lot harder when you freelance, when you work from home, when you work remote, to jump back in because it's you. You're a one
Yeah.
man show most of the time.
Yeah.
How do you motivate yourself?
Yeah. That can be our end question. How do you motivate yourself?
Yeah,
Yeah. I love that. Well, we are going to sign off because unlike all the other podcasts, we have a full day of work ahead of
full
us.
day of work.
So let's connect, guys. Like, comment, share. Let us know what you think. We're a few episodes in now and we're going to keep going. And we really want to engage with you guys and see what you want to hear about, what you want to talk about, what you want. Do you have questions for us? Yeah, we'll answer them.
What type of creative topics do you want to discuss? What type of, what do you work in? What is
Yeah,
your
that's a good
profession?
one.
What type of industries do you want us to have guests on and talk about?
Yeah, I love that. All right, well, we are going to sign off for now. We'll see you guys next week.
Let's get to work.
Bye.
Bye.